And you're listening to BoxBox F1 Pod. So as you've probably heard, the Imola Grand Prix has been canceled, rightfully due to the flooding and the insane weather happening in the region. So even though there's no race tomorrow, I still wanted to catch up on everything going on in the F1 world, off the track, and on the gram. I will also obviously talk about what's going on in Imola and how the F1 world is stepping up. And with everything going on, it didn't feel right to skip an Italian meal. Sounds weird, but it didn't. So in honor of Emilia Romagna and its #1 supporter, Yuki Tsunoda, I am going to be making one of my favorite pasta dishes, aglio e olio, sorry for the pronunciation, which is basically just garlic and olive oil. I first saw it in Chef, the film, and I became obsessed with it. And now I make it all the time. So my water is boiling back there, or it should be. Now my water is boiling back there. While I prep the garlic and the herbs, I will be talking about what's been going on. And I'm also drinking this orange wine from Italy called Sofia. So that felt appropriate as well. And I'm wearing an Italian apron, but it's from Sicily, which isn't relevant, but it's Italy anyway. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive into the digital warm-up. Oh, okay, so I should probably preface that this episode is just a digital warm-up. I just didn't think of another name for it, but just wanted everyone to be aware there's nothing coming after the laps. Okay, so first up, lap 1, the F1 Royal Wedding. Okay, so obviously I had to start with the event of the century. So for those who don't know, Red Bull athlete, Olympic snowboarder, and just like BFFs with Daniel Ricciardo and just an Australian man named Scotty James has been with Chloe Stroll, who is a singer-songwriter and, yes, sister to Lance Stroll and daughter to Lawrence Stroll. They have been together for quite some time. And they got married the week after Miami Grand Prix in Venice. And honestly, the entire thing was quite the feat because with a snowboarding schedule and with like the entire F1 paddock needing to be in attendance, they really had to wrangle a miracle. And they did. The whole entire wedding was like a few days. It was an insane affair. It's like all I've been living and breathing for the past week. Has it only been a week? Feels like longer. Just gonna dive into everything we've seen. There's been a lot of behind the scenes content leading up to the day, and then afterwards Scotty and Chloe both started posting like a bunch of photo dumps onto Instagram, and it was wild. So first of all, the venue, it took place in Venice, but I don't think the actual wedding was in Venice. It was like all around the surrounding areas. And there were so many extra events. Every place was in every event was in a new place. And it was still very Venetian. Is that the word? Is it Venetian? I think it is. Like the guests were arriving by boats. They were all traveling by boats. Everyone was just eating pasta. And they also had like these really cute like gift baskets for their guests. It looked very nice. Also, this is a personal thing, but I was so excited to see that they were having a Jewish ceremony. I don't know why. Obviously, Chloe's Jewish, so they would have a Jewish ceremony. But like, I think it's also coming off of Sophia Richie's wedding, which was also insane, by the way. That was a Jewish ceremony, which I wasn't expecting. And then this was a Jewish ceremony, and to see Scotty in the kippah and being lifted up in the chair afterwards. Great stuff. I was very happy. The little Jew in me was happy. Anyways, the guest list was like stacked. It was a stacked guest list. So first, I thought this was kind of up in the air. It was just kind of rumored, but I think for sure Catherine Zeta Jones, Michael Douglas, and their daughter were at the wedding, and before jet setting off to the Cannes Film Festival. And also Fergie of royal family fame was there. Stefan Domenicali, who is the F1 president, was there. Toto and Susie Wolf were there, looking like unreal and rich and just beautiful. And Flavio Briatore, who is the former Renault boss and also like the white collar crime darling of F1, was present. Lots of crime in his past, but like chill crime, you know, just like taxes and stuff. Obviously Daniel Ricciardo was a groomsman because they're best friends, and he was also like a makeshift documentarian because along with his official account and Daniel.jpg, he shared a lot of content and it was great. Lance Stroll, who is brother of the bride and also groomsman, was there. And also, okay, so I just found out the most wholesome thing ever about Lance. So he, turns out he met Scotty first, and he, 2 minutes, the water's boiling. Okay, I'm back. So the most wholesome thing I found out was that Lance had actually met Scotty first, and after he met him, he called Chloe and said that I just met the guy you're gonna marry. And then it was also like really cute. They like, Chloe was saying it was like fate, just like wanted us to be together because even though we both had insane schedules, somehow we always ended up in the same city at the same time, which I love that. But back to Lance, there was also a very cute video of Lance walking Chloe down the aisle during rehearsal, and then when he got to Scotty like went to shake his hand, and Lance pretended to punch him, and everyone laughed. It was so cute. Lance is just growing on me with every passing day. I know I talk about this every time, but I can't get over how much I love Lance now. Speaking of walking people down the aisle, we need to address the elephant in the room, or like the lack of an elephant. Lawrence Stroll was in none of the behind the scenes content. He was in none of the official photo dumps. His friends were there. His yacht was there. His credit card was most certainly there, given how many dresses she wore. But we'll get to that. But like, seriously, where was Lawrence? So I was really bothered by the fact that I couldn't find Lawrence at this wedding, and like it was like I was taking it very personally that Lawrence might not have showed up to his daughter's wedding, because in my head the image I built of Lawrence is that he'd go to his daughter's wedding. I don't know. It just felt wrong. So I was like scouring the internet, and I found pictures of Catherine Zeta Jones, Michael Douglas, and Fergie all in Italy, wearing feathers, which a lot of the guests were actually wearing for an event the day before, I think. And the pictures were being used in articles talking about both of those parties being at the wedding. And then I dug deeper and found pictures of Lawrence with both of those people wearing the same outfits that they were wearing. So I just, like, naturally deductive reasoning was like, oh, Lawrence was at the wedding. Turns out I was wrong. In 2019, Lawrence hosted a birthday party that was Great Gatsby themed, hence the feathers, and it was in Italy, hence the Italian setting, and he had the same guest list. So my bad for spreading misinformation, but also I did say it was an investigation, and I feel like my deductive reasoning was sound. How was I supposed to know Lawrence had the exact same situation basically 4 years ago? Anyway, so then we were back to square one, and we're like, where is Lawrence? Is he there? I'm very upset about this. And what we concluded was that, well, we didn't conclude. Someone sent me a picture of Lawrence. It was the wedding for sure, because I could see Scotty and Chloe like in the center dancing. And then there was someone in the corner of the pic that had very Lawrence vibes. So at the moment, I have concluded Lawrence was in fact at the wedding. Anyway, speaking of Chloe, she looked amazing. She looked absolutely beautiful. And she had like 5 dresses. I swear the dress, every day there's a new dress that I hadn't seen yet. So there was like this, her actual ceremony dress was like this beautiful like off the shoulder look, but then they had like a little thing on top of her shoulders that was like transparent and so beautiful. And I think it was all Dior, but like the best part was like this, like her train was insane. She looked so good. And I think it was Dior, yeah. And so then the next thing I saw was her in like a T-length dress, and she had like pastel pink flowers on it, and it sort of flared out kind of 50s-ish, and I guess that was a celebration type one. And then I saw her in this other off-the-shoulder dress that had like a really cool skirt that had like a few ruffles that were like standing. I don't know how to describe that, but that was Versace, I think. And then I saw her in a really cool backless dress that had like a train that attached to her wrist so that she could like move in it. And then I saw her in a gold type dress that was in one of Scotty's TikTok videos that also looked so cool on her. And of course there were all these other white outfits that she wore to like pre-wedding events, like the rehearsal, and then this other silk thing that she was wearing that were a lot more casual. But yeah, she looked insane. 20 out of 10. Loved it. The wedding, her, everything. It was amazing. Just really want to know why Lawrence isn't in any of the official pictures. Anyway, lap 2, news and rumors. Okay, so a lot has happened in Miami besides the wedding, since Miami besides the wedding. So I'm going to sort of go in a chronological order from leftover Miami gossip to off-week happenings to what's happening since the Imola Grand Prix got canceled. But first I'm going to switch positions because I need the pan. Okay, I'm back. So first, Dax Shepard was at the Miami Grand Prix, and on his podcast, him and his co-host were discussing how they saw Max Verstappen for the first time, and he was nothing like what they expected him to be like. Like, they just thought he was a brat and like this like snobby asshole, and he was just like this quiet guy that was like in a corner talking to his engineer, trying to stay away from everything. And I just thought that was so cute. Like, you know, like, he's always portrayed as this, like, horrible guy that, sucks. And to hear people who came in there thinking that he would suck, and then they were like, you see him and he's just like a kid. He's just like this super talented kid. And it just, like, he wasn't this, like, angry, evil mastermind. He was just someone who was freakishly talented, put in a horrible, not a horrible situation, but a situation where he doesn't like thrive necessarily, and he's literally just there to drive. Speaking of Max, though, he was, this was very vindicating to hear, but he was doing one of those podcasts before the Miami Grand Prix, and one of the things he was asked was how what's his favorite thing about Checo. And he said that his favorite thing about Checo is that, first I'll talk about Checo. So they asked Checo how he felt about Max, and he said that he's a good loser, which I'm sure he phrased like that intentionally, but what he meant was that everyone always says that Max is such a sore loser and is so mad at everyone when he doesn't win. But in reality, he is a good loser. He always congratulates Checo. He's always happy for Checo. Which just like made my heart happy, because I always thought that was the case. And then when Max was asked the same question, he said that his favorite thing about Checo was that he was such a family man, because he thinks that Checo has his priorities straightened out, and his whole entire life isn't winning or losing F1. Like, that doesn't determine his life. His life has other meaning, and it's like really inspirational for him to have that sort of perspective. And I thought that was very wholesome. They were such deep answers. I don't think that the people were expecting that. But anyway, will.i.am released a song called The Formula, which is all about F1, and it's just so bad. Like, it's so bad. They also had a verse from Lil Wayne, who, way too hot. A chorus from Lil Wayne who talked about Lewis, but also talked about Max. And I was actually surprised that will.i.am would allow any positivity about Max to be on his song. But he did. And the one positive thing to come from this entire situation is that now I have more rhymes for Verstappen when I do my race rhymes. So thanks, guys. In some F1 news, Shakira and Lewis might be dating. And so she was at the Miami Grand Prix, then they were out on a yacht together. And apparently they also had dinner separate alone, and she was seen leaving his house. So those rumors are definitely swirling, and it kind of feels like Lewis just like heard Alonso was fake dating Taylor Swift and was like, hold my beer, I can date someone too. And this was born. But whether it's true or not, it's like, we all know he loves pop stars. He used to date Nicole Scherzinger, which is still wild to me. I can't believe they used to date. But anyway, another rumor that's been circling around, it's not really news, is that Daniel Ricciardo might be replacing Nyck De Vries at AlphaTauri. And the reason this rumor started was because it was announced that Daniel will be fitted for a Red Bull seat. And that's just for an AlphaTauri seat, and that's only because he is the Red Bull reserve driver, so obviously he would also have duties at AlphaTauri. And I just, like, that it hasn't been dispelled, but it hasn't been, like, the rumor's still, like, circulating, right? And there's also rumors that Logan Lawson, I think his name is Luke Lawson. Is his name Logan or Luke? He's a super Liam. So there were rumors that he also might be up for the seat. And I just, like, Red Bull is so trigger happy when it comes to replacing drivers mid-season. Like, let Nick marinate. Let him, like, learn and grow. Like, imagine if they had fired Yuki after 3 months. It would be like, he would have never had the opportunity to grow into the driver he is now, which everyone loves. You know? Anyways, I just think that Dr. Marco needs to chill the fuck out. Let Nick come to... He's never been in Formula One. The AlphaTauri car sucks. Like, what were they expecting? For him to, like, win every race? Anyway. Hello Sunshine, which is Reese Witherspoon's company, has announced that they are partnering with F1 to release a docuseries about F1 Academy, which is very exciting because there is zero coverage of them, and we all want to be following how that's going. So I'm glad Reese Witherspoon's getting involved. Also, Yuki Tsunoda turned 23. Yay, Yuki. Speaking of Yuki, his trainer, Michael Italiano, who used to be Daniel Ricciardo's trainer, was on the WTF1 podcast, and he was talking about working with Yuki. And I'm just, like, obsessed with his approach because he said he will never limit Yuki in terms of food because happy drivers perform better, and nothing makes Yuki happier than food. So when they landed in Miami, he said the first thing Yuki said to him was, "Where are we going to eat?" And he was already planning his Monaco restaurants, which I think is just insane and so Yuki. And I think I can't believe that, like, all those years that AlphaTauri is like, how do we get Yuki to care about training? No one thought to bribe him with food. Michael Italiano is like, if he wants to eat, I'm like, remember, we have to train more. And Yuki's like, okay. I feel like it was just right there in front of them, like, how to get Yuki to care. And they just never took advantage of it. So yay, Michael Italiano. You're good at your job. And so... Anyway, lap 3, off the grid. So some off-track activities, just gonna, like, go through them. Lewis went to a Lakers game and sat next to Leonardo DiCaprio, who was wearing a mask below his nose, which is weird. Charles threw the first pitch for the Yankees in a much better outfit than those horrible tie-dye acid jeans that he wore at the Miami Grand Prix. Guan Yu went to Sheffield. And apparently he has a lot of history there. That was where he moved from Shanghai to start his karting career. And just like imagine going from Shanghai to Sheffield. That sounds like a massive culture shock. And so he seemed to love it and was hanging with his Sheffield friends, and it just looked very cute and very unexpected. Also, George went on a hike with Carmen, and George also went on a run with Alex Albon. And speaking of Alex, he flew straight from Miami to New Jersey like the night of the Grand Prix after it was over to watch Lily play golf, and that's so cute for me. I love them. Moving over to online activities though, but staying on Alex and Lily. Lily posted a hilarious video of her singing, doing the TikTok trend where she mouths to the area code song, where it's like, "You be feeding me lobster and pasta," that song. And she just kept turning the camera to Alex, who was next to her, and he looked so done with the entire thing and literally just walked off at the end. They are so good on TikTok and online. I can't. Pierre posted a photo dump, like many photo dumps after the Miami Grand Prix, and this is what it looks like. I'm gonna play it in a second. But he posted a photo dump, and one of them included a FaceTime with Yuki. I just love that they're FaceTiming each other. It makes me so happy. Speaking of online, Max is still doing his live streams. Max loves a live stream. And to the point where he skipped a wedding with Kelly to be on this, to play sim racing. I don't know what the term is, but he was racing online. But he said on the live stream that it was okay because it wasn't his wedding. However, Kelly did catch the bouquet at that wedding, so could be his wedding soon. And he loved that Checo's a family man. All signs are pointing to Max settling down very, very soon. McLaren posted a picture of Lando at the McLaren factory or headquarters doing the George pose where he's like this. And they tagged George and was like, "Did he get it right, George?" And Mercedes responded to that post saying, "Trendsetter race winner," about George, which a lot of Lando fans took as a personal offense to Lando, but I thought it was hilarious banter. So we will get to more of Mercedes online banter because they are killing it lately. So after the race got canceled, something about the entire situation made everyone like regress to like beginning of the pandemic days. Like they were just going crazy online. Mercedes posted a video of Mick Schumacher playing like an Angry Bird knockoff, but it was like ducks and eggs, and it was just so random. Like they all have resorted to like virtual content. Alpine immediately arranged a live stream with the Alpine boys, Pierre and Esti Bestie, hosted by Jack Doohan, obviously, because why would they ever have the other two solo live stream? I did not watch the full thing, but I did watch several clips, and they were highly amusing. Both boys just kept like turning on a filter at random, and at one point Pierre was giving a very serious answer while Esteban was just like going through like a non-stop circle of filters, and it was just like so unserious. Like he was not listening to a word that Pierre was saying. And then there was a funny clip of Jack asking the boys, well, he asked Pierre first. He's like, do you prefer cats or dogs? And Pierre pauses for a second, like, what? And then he goes, doggy, and giggling like mad. And Jack just goes, sorry? And takes like a full minute for it to like process in his brain. Esteban just like processes it a bit quicker, starts shaking his head while he's smiling, goes, skip that. There are kids here, as if you can skip it on a live. And Pierre goes, oh, there are kids. I like dogs. And Esteban goes, yeah, I can see that you like dogs. And Jack, just his reaction is so funny. He looks like he's 12 and like walked in on a lady naked or something, or like he's just blushing so hard. It's like no one has ever like referenced doggy style in his presence before. Like, he's never heard the words out loud. There was also another clip of, I don't know what the question was, but Pierre going, "These are dangerous questions," and Jack responding, "Your answers are dangerous, not the questions." Jack, just like around Pierre's, Unhinged Pierre specifically, is hilarious, and I hope even if Esteban and Pierre somehow become friends. Oh, I'm pressing buttons on the button, sorry. I hope that if Esteban and Pierre ever become friends, they still keep Jack Doohan in every single thing they do, because I just love to see his reactions to Pierre existing. Before I continue, I am going to plate the pasta, and then we're going to talk about the Imola Grand Prix. BRB! Okay. I'm back. You're about to find out that I do not know how to plate pasta. Also, I'm very sorry for the very chaotic episode. If you are listening and aren't watching, it's probably even worse. I am getting the hang of talking and moving, so hopefully it's not too annoying. But anyway, lap 4, the Imola Grand Prix. I went to the Emilio. So the Imola Grand Prix. So before I talk about what happened at the Grand Prix, Before I talk about what happened at the Grand Prix, I want to talk about the name of the Grand Prix. So, ta-da! Okay, so the name of the Imola Grand Prix, everyone calls it something different. Imola is the name of the town it takes place in, and originally it used to be called the San Marino Grand Prix. At some point, it was known as the Imola Grand Prix. But when it came back in recent years, they had renamed it the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix for the region. But now the name has been decided based on money. I don't know if there's a good explanation for this name, but the full name of the 2023 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix is actually Formula One Qatar Airways Gran Premio del Made in Italy dell'Emilia Romagna 2023. What the fuck is that name? Like, why is Made in Italy just randomly shoved in there? Is it a name of a company, or do they just want you to know that it's in Italy? There were 2 great memes that came out of this, posted by the Alpine and the Mercedes accounts, which, by the way, as I said, they're really thriving during this week. They've done great things. So Alpine posted a High School Musical meme, which is the scene in High School Musical 2 when Troy gives Gabriella the necklace, and Gabriella's like, T as in Troy. So she goes, T as in Troy, and Zac Efron goes, no, Gabriella, T as in the 2023 Gran Premio del Made in Italy e del Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Duh. And then Mercedes posted a Friends meme, and it's a scene where Phoebe is trying to teach Joey French. And so she goes, Emilia Romagna, and Joey goes, Emilia Romagna. And they, by the way, put him in a Merc shirt. They're actually both wearing Merc shirts. So Phoebe goes, Emilia Romagna. And Joey goes, Emilia Romagna. And Phoebe goes, Grand Prix. And Joey goes, Grand Prix. And Phoebe goes, Formula One Gran Premio del Made in Italy e de Emilia Romagna. And Joey goes, Imola. Great content all around. I hope those social media managers are friends. They are creating quality content. So the current condition in Imola is that it flooded hard, and it's the worst flooding that Italy has seen in like 100 years. There was flooding across the region over the span. I'm not gonna eat while I talk, it's gonna be gross. There was flooding across the region over the span of 15 days, I think, which there was like 2 big instances within those 15 days, which is what made this such a travesty. A bunch of rivers have overflown. Shops, homes were flooded. Crops have been submerged. There was a huge evacuation, but it's left over 20,000 people homeless. And the last I've seen, which I think what the count was on Thursday, there were 13 people dead so far. So how it impacted F1, not that that's like the biggest concern here, but how it impacted them. So some teams had already started arriving into the area, including the McLaren team, who were obviously left stranded. Nyck De Vries had also arrived in Faenza, which is where the AlphaTauri factory is located, or he was on his way there to do marketing duties before the Grand Prix. And so Nick got stuck and he posted the pictures of his like ordeal and like a giant caption, and I'm just going to read it because it is wild and I can't recap it appropriately. Thursday evening at 11:30 p.m. on my way to Faenza ahead of marketing day at the SAT factory on Wednesday. It's raining intense. Faenza is already flooded and I'm unable to get to my hotel. Returning to the highway is no option either. Stuck in a little village with one fully booked hotel. Fortunately, McLaren got stranded there earlier, and their front drag Fraser was kind enough to give me his room. The following morning, the hotel lobby turned into an emergency shelter for people who were forced to escape their homes during the night. Post F1 announcement, I only saw one potential option to get home, which was driving via Firenze, which I think is Florence. After an adventurous drive through the mountains, thanks to the help from local people and authorities in different villages, I finally got home safely. Thank you to every single person who has been kind enough to help me. It was truly heartwarming to see so many look out for each other. My thoughts are with those who continue to be affected by this tragedy. I'll be back in Faenza soon to meet my team and the people from the region. Forza. Someone commented, where did the front jack go? Probably staying in a room with someone he actually knows. But his description of how he escaped low-key sounds like the Von Trapp family escaping the Nazis. Like, I climbed every mountain, over every stream, followed every rainbow. Anyway, it sounds horrible. Like, it sounds like a very traumatic experience, and I don't think it was made better by the fact that he was driving a white sports car. I think it's a McLaren. Not only is it not effective in mud and dirt and flooding, it's also bright white. Like, that's so sad. Anyway, that does not sound like a pleasant experience at all. Can't even imagine what the people who are actually living there are going through. But I believe the part of the Imola track is flooded as well by a river that's nearby. And I definitely saw images of F1 trucks that were like in pools of water, though I can't really tell if there's been damage to any equipment or if any cars were there that got damaged at all. The race was obviously rightfully canceled. Duh. I'm only like surprised that it took them until Wednesday to be like, maybe not. Like, it should have been definitely not while we were in Miami. Maybe not that far, but still. Wednesday is like cutting it close. They were like really hoping that somehow all this water was just going to evaporate and we could race. Anyway, besides the physical impacts on teams and cargo that had arrived, and I'm only talking about F1 impact, not about the region. No. But this also poses certain issues for teams because Imola was going to be like the backdrop for several upgrades to many cars. But since the next race is in Monaco, it's not the ideal place to add upgrades and to test upgrades and to get feedback that's actually useful from drivers in terms of aero and like suspension and all of that stuff. Like, that's because Monaco is so tight and curvy, they're not going to get effective answers there. And also there's a bigger risk for crashes. So imagine upgrading the car, you immediately crash. So it looks like there's a chance that many teams will be holding off until the Spanish Grand Prix, though that's not final. Some teams might decide that their upgrades can be fine in Monaco, but it seems that the vibe is that they're going to postpone until Spain. So the Imola Grand Prix was also supposed to be the first time that F1 tested out their new initiative called the Alternative Tire Allocation, aka ATA. which they say is a more sustainable approach to tires, since it means that teams are only going to get 11 sets instead of 13. The new regulations, which would also mean that the drivers could only use one specific compound during each qualifying session. So Q1, hard, Q2, medium, and Q3, soft. They also say this means that the teams will have more options for strategy during the actual race. But won't all their tires be used by the time if they make it into Q3, you don't have any fresh tires left? Am I missing something? I must be missing something. But that's how it sounded to me. And I really wish that we were actually doing it this weekend, because I was hoping to use that. Everyone would be talking about it and I'd be able to see it in action and I'd be able to get a better understanding of it. But that's how I understood the situation, that they are not able to, they won't have fresh tires for the race, but it's better because they're saving the environment with fewer tires. Also, another thing they're doing for the environment is Pirelli created a new wet tire, like a complete wet tire that doesn't require a tire blanket, which I guess saves energy on the heat. So they were trying to make steps towards being more environmentally friendly. How that's going to impact the teams, not sure. Another weird thing is that they only have 2 races during the year that they're allowed to test this ATA thing at. And because Imola is skipped, the next one is the Hungarian Grand Prix, so we won't actually get to see it in action until basically the end of the summer, or towards the summer break. I think that's when I'll have a clearer understanding of what's going on and how it'll affect teams. So this was a little confusing. I apologize, because I'm a little confused too. If someone has a better understanding of this new suggestion for regulations, please explain it to me, because I would welcome any more information than what I was able to glean from all the articles I read. So moving on from that, my favorite thing to have come out, one of the most beautiful things to come out of this whole Imola situation, is to see Yuki's commitment to the region and to the people. Yuki was the first person I saw post about this before there were even conversations about the race getting canceled, before anyone was talking about it, the official F1 account, F1, no one was talking about it, except all I heard was like, oh, it's raining. It's probably gonna rain at the race. Yuki had already posted on his story about his concerns for the area and the people and like the impact of potential flooding. Once the GP was canceled, which again took way longer than I expected, everyone started posting their condolences. And there was a really funny compilation of everyone's posts that were some form of like, safety is the most important, my thoughts are with the people of Emilia Romagna, stay safe, etc., etc. Some were longer than others, but the general like vibe to me read like Queen Charlotte in the newest series, where she just keeps going, sorrows, prayers. I know they meant more than that. There's like not much you can say, right? Like, they got their official statement, they donated to the cause, like they shared the donation thing with everyone. There's so much they can do when they're not there. Yuki, however, is there, and his post was a full-on grid post with pictures and videos of the flooding and the damage it's caused, and his caption read, "After a horrible night, the town is heavily impacted. Dust, mud, and the smell of gasoline everywhere. Currently, people are struggling to find food and especially places to stay after many have been evacuated from their homes. Please, anything you can do to help is appreciated. No matter how big or small the donation, period." And then like a prayer hands emoji. Side note, I've seen a lot of people complaining that no drivers are helping in the same way that Yuki, or talking about it in the same way that Yuki is. But like, obviously the AlphaTauri factory is based in Faenza, which is in direct line of fire for the floods, and it's flooded. That's obviously why Nick got caught up in it on the way to the headquarters as well. And Yuki lives super close by. He moved to the AlphaTauri headquarters for training and everything like a year ago. So he is literally there, and he's literally there to help. Like, he is in it. So like, I'm not trying to make light of Yuki's actions by saying it's just like circumstance for why he's able to do what he is. Like, who knows? who would have been sweeping mud if they were living there as well. My point is, it's unrealistic to expect people to fly somewhere to help out. They donated, they shared the link, and I think that's exactly what was to be expected. But Yuki's like actually living through it. And I guess I already said it, but like in addition to like posting all these pictures and these like thoughtful captions and donating and all of that stuff, encouraging people to donate, he went to a whole new level when like pictures were leaked. He didn't post them. Pictures were leaked of him cleaning up the streets of Faenza with like a broom. He was like sweeping up mud. He was like cleaning up a shop, sweeping up the streets. There were some AlphaTauri engineers that were with him, or mechanics or whatever, that were with him helping him out. But like, how sweet of Yuki. How sweet. He's like literally mopping up muddy streets. That's how much he cares. He cares a lot. And I just love this side of Yuki. It was giving Seb cleaning the grandstands after one of the Grand Prix. It was incredible to see. I literally asked my friend Lexi if Yuki is the new Seb of F1, and she called it the anger to activist pipeline, which is incredible. We should all say that. Anyways, Yuki is the best human alive in my opinion. You can't convince me otherwise. He's really like setting the bar for like how human beings should behave, and not just human beings, how like people in the public figure, people who are a public figure should behave, because like not many public figures would be seen knee deep in mud. That's like a commitment. Anyway, I guess that's why I made this pasta, because I know it's a lame way to show my support for Emilia Romagna and Yuki, but I only know how to support Yuki with food. So I'm gonna call this pasta my I love Yuki, loving Italy pasta. Obviously, I'm going to share the donation information in the show notes if you can. I think it's a little challenging for people in America to donate, but if you are abroad and you can, please do anything you can to help, because it is really, really sad what's going on. Anyway, so that's it for the Almost Imola Grand Prix. I will link the donation site below once again in case you want to help or can help or do anything. I know none of us are actually there, but we take so much from them every year. We should help the people that live there to recuperate as quickly as they can. But next week we are headed to Monaco. I actually thought it was Barcelona. I was about to make tapas next week. That would have been awkward. Monaco is next week. I will be baking something else, and I promise it'll be less chaotic than what was going on here. Maybe I'll like half prep before I start, so there's less like shuffling around. Until then, make sure you subscribe, share with any potential boxes, and you can always DM me your thoughts, opinions, questions, or lessons, because there's a lot of stuff I do not know. So I would love to hear from you guys. I love to hear everything you have to say. And make sure you follow at BoxBoxF1Pod on Instagram and TikTok to keep up with everything going on between races. So see you in like a week, less than a week.